Okay, so you might be wondering, class component, functional components, what the heck? Alright, in this video we'll be looking at class components. So basically in writing class components we use the EXX syntax, and we'll be making use of these statements: extends, react.component, and render. So I'll go back to my text editor. Now using the functional component we try to return hello there. So we're going to use the class component to return the same statement or same element. So I'm going to wipe this off, and I'm going to put the syntax for the class component. So you can see I've added extends and also react.component, and we'll be using this render method basically to define how the component should be rendered on the screen, just like we use this react DOM.render, this function, to render the component into the div elements that we've created here, which we named example. So when I save this up and open it up in my browser, you'll notice it's going to say the same thing, and that would be hello there. Alright, next up, let's look at the features of class. Alright, before we go into the features of a class components, let's look at this function called constructor function. So basically this is where you put the properties of your components. So I'll go back to my text editor here, and this car, the class here is car, and I want it to return this is a car. Now let's say I want to add some properties to this component. I'll be using the constructor function and this super here. Now the state here is basically an object that holds the properties itself. So when I save this up and open it in my browser, you'll notice it's going to say this is a car. Now it doesn't include the properties. So let's say I want to add the properties. I'll come down here and I'll open up my curly braces, and I'll write this dot state, that's this state, and dot color, the color of this car. So when I save this and open it up in my browser, it's going to give the color of the car. It's going to say this is a red car. So that's basically what you use the constructor function for. Use it to hold the properties of the components. Alright guys, next up let's look at some of the features of the class components. Alright, so here are the features. One is that they are basically ES6 classes. They can hold or manage local states. They can also hold or contain other components like your functional components, and they are smart, and that is they can hold or contain logic. Alright, so the uses of your class components include to manage local states, to add lifecycle methods to your components, and to add logic for event handlers. So these are the basic uses of the class components.